It's not videoing you, darling. It's videoing this. Okay, so we're going to take a look. Stanley, do you remember what the direction was? Over here. We're going to take a look at our vocabulary words for our story, Living in the Desert. Okay, we're going to take a look at 5 vocabulary words. Now, some of these I think are tricky. Some of these not so much. So I'm going to start with one that I think you might know. What I think is funny is that some of these words have been used a lot lately with the whole COVID thing. So see which ones, and then I'm wondering, how does it relate COVID with the desert? So let's see if we can think this out. Okay, ready? Our first word I want us to take a look at. Shh. E. Oh, wait a minute. Vowel team, but it says E. Shield. 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 Does anybody know what a shield is? Shield, Kaylee.
Something that we could use with fabric for to protect germs, like
Yes.
kinds of masks because we don't like these fabric kinds.
Perfect. So a shield is protection, Brayden. It's protection. The first example Kaylee gave, kind of like, can you think of a knight? A knight might hold a shield, right? Knight holds a shield to protect itself from swords, right? It's like a steel barrier that would protect them. That's a shield. But then Kaylee gave another example. She said you might wear a face shield that covers your face, right? It covers your face. It protects your face. Your mask acts like a shield, right? It protects you. So I get that with coronavirus. Oh, how a shield in the desert? What about the word shield? Oh, you're right. Forward, look. These plexiglass pieces shield us from each other. I don't know why yours has that on there. You're going to have to figure that out and make sure it doesn't happen.
I know what it is.
Oh, you do? Okay, we'll talk about that later. What could it have to do with the desert, Corinne?
You may have a shield from sunburn. When I was little, I was always like, why do you wear long sleeves in the desert? It's really hot. And then I realized that you do it for sunburn.
That's great. Great idea. I like that idea. Justin.
Maybe it's like a shield for the camel's eyelashes. It protects it from the sun.
You're so right. A camel has those long eyelashes that keep the sand out, so it's a shield from the sand. Peter?
Like you talked about the four corners in dry farming, it would have a shield to protect the plants so the soil wouldn't get dry.
Nice. Thank you. And thank you for connecting yesterday's story. That makes me so happy. Okay. This one makes me laugh. Okay, so last night at dinner, Elizabeth and Charlie were sharing their raps that they did in music. You all have done raps, right? Okay. So they were sharing their raps that they did in music class. And Charlie started complaining because he's like, nothing rhymes with Charlie. You know, he just thinks, Charlie Barley. That's all he's got. And we were like, Elizabeth is even harder to rhyme with. And then Jack said, oh, I got a lot of words. Jack has a ton of words that rhyme with his name. He kind of lucked out on the Jack. And here is a vocabulary word, lack. Rhymes with Jack. Lack.
I just said lack.
Okay, so lots of words rhyme with this one, but this might not be one that you use that often. Does anyone know what the word lack means? Lack. Maddie?
Maybe when you lack something, it means chopping something in half.
Not exactly. No, not really. You don't chop it in half. If you lack something, Mila?
So it's like you're not doing anything.
Kind of. If you lack, knowing I'm sorry? I'm sorry.
Need something.
You need something because you don't have enough, right? If you lack water, it means you don't have water. If you lack, this is funny. I was about to say lack snack. If you lack snack, it meant that you didn't have any snack, right? You lack something. So that's kind of a tricky one It's when you don't have enough of something or you don't have it at all, okay? So in the desert, what do you think they might lack? They might lack for...
I just want to say that in DC probably lacked her necklaces.
She did not lack for necklaces. She had so many, right? She did not lack for necklaces on a DC. In the desert, what might you lack?
Water.
You might lack water. There's not enough water, right? Yes.
Food.
You might lack food. You might. Okay, so lack is kind of a tricky one. It rhymes with a ton of words we know, but it's not one that you might use that often. Rowan?
Maybe clothes.
You might lack clothes, like warm clothes. So on a cold day, if you lack warm clothes, what happens to you? You get cold. Okay, ready? We're going to keep going because I have 3 more to go. Let's see. Oh, I think we know this one. This one. Ready? Starts with a word I know, land, and then scape. Landscape. What is landscape, Justin?
Like different lands, like desert, mountains.
Yes, desert, mountains. Nolan? Okay. 4?
The backyard.
Your backyard might be your landscape. Landscape is the area out that surrounds you, right? The outdoor area around you, landscape. It also, when you're on the computer, you might see that you could hold your paper. You could orient your paper 2 different ways. This way is called portrait. Have you ever seen a portrait of a person? You know, they're like very official, regal-looking portrait. Okay, it's always this way. And if you put it this way, it's called landscape, because you could do the whole horizon. You could do the big landscape across. But a landscape would be the outdoor surrounding. So it might be mountainous. It might be desert landscape. It might be coastal landscape, right by the coast, okay? So that's a good one. Landscape. Could you draw a landscape?
Yeah.
Yes. And it would be like, it wouldn't be your desk. It would be like the outdoor landscape. Right.
I actually drew a landscape.
Did you?
Yeah.
Awesome. You'll have to bring it in and show us.
I can do it tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Now, Corinne is going to know this one because it's almost like what she already said. All right, here we go. Okay. So we have EX, expo, and then sure. Exposure. If I take the U-R-E off and I add an E, it's expose. Expose. But this is exposure. So straight up. Exposure, which is a noun. Exposure. It's a little bit like Corinne was talking about already. Think about what she said. What is exposure, Joe?
Like when you get exposed to corona, that you got exposed to corona.
Good. What does that mean if you get exposed to coronavirus?
You have it.
Not necessarily. Doesn't mean that you have to have it if you got exposed. What does it mean? You guessed it? Is it test? No. If you were exposed, Liam, what does it mean?
You were around somebody that had it.
Right, you were around. It was near you. It doesn't mean that you have it. It just means it was near someone around you had it, okay? So you were exposed. That's how it could, we use this one and this one. You use a shield to protect you from exposure. Isn't that kind of what Corinne said?
Yeah.
But she wasn't talking about coronavirus. She was talking about what? What was Corinne talking about? Maddie, do you remember? Maddie A? Maddie A? Do you remember? What did Corinne say you need a shield for? Stella?
People wear long sleeves in the desert so they don't go outside.
Great, from the sun. You will wear sunscreen, right? Do you wear sunscreen when it's really hot and sunny out? You wear sunscreen as a shield, or you might wear long sleeves, or you might wear your swim shirt, right? As a shield from the exposure to the sun. When you're exposed to something, it is near you and it is surrounding you, right? We've used this word a lot lately because of coronavirus, but in our story, it has nothing to do with coronavirus. It's about the desert. So do we think it's more Joe's example or Corinne's example in our story?
Corinne.
More Corinne's. Okay, we have one last word. This one's a tricky one. Starts with the word you know, N-O, no. And then it has another word you know, mad, no, mad, ick, nomadic. Okay, nomadic. You might have heard of a nomad before, maybe. I'll tell you what a nomad is, and then you tell me what you think nomadic means, because nomadic is an adjective. A nomad is a person who moves from place to place to place. A nomad doesn't stay in one place for very long. A nomad moves around a lot. So, raise your hand. So what does nomadic mean? If a nomad is a person who moves, what do you think nomadic means, Mabel? Yeah, they do. They move. Why do they have to keep moving?
Well, they have to keep moving because I forget now.
Okay, why do they have to keep moving in the desert? Ryan.
They have to keep moving forward because you don't really wanna get stuck in the hot sun.
Right. Is there any big neighborhood like yours in the middle of the desert? No. Is there any, grocery store to go to and church to go to and school to go to in the middle of the desert?
No, a mirage.
What?
A mirage.
Oh, a mirage. I thought you said my ears today. So sorry. Okay, so nomadic describes someone or something that moves often, moves a lot. Joe asked if it was like me. I don't consider myself nomadic. You're right. I have moved a lot. And for a few years, Shelby, I did move every 2 years. But then I stayed in North Carolina for 17 years. So that I was no longer nomadic. And hopefully I'm staying right here for the next foreseeable future, right? So, but you're right. I appreciate you connecting my story. Thank you for such a nice listing. But a person who moves and moves and moves, like a lot of military people might consider, we don't call them nomadic, but they might have a job in one place and then they have to move to another place and then they have to move to another place. And they move, right, like stations, and they move often. That's nomadic. Okay, so these words are going to be our 5 words that we're going to look at. And remember I told you we're studying these words this week and next week. If I was going to put these in ABC order, which word would come first? Sorry, Shelby and Justin. If you need to get up and move, you can. Corinne, what should you be doing? Which word comes first in ABC order? Who have I not heard from? Leo, I haven't heard from you. Which one? Exposure is going to come first. Which one is going to come last? You thought I was going to ask second, didn't you? Which one's going to come last? Shield is going to come last. Okay. All right.
This is going to be difficult. No, they're in order.
Are they in order?
Yeah.
All right, wait. E is going to come first. L will come next, but I have 2 L's. So if they both start with L, what do I do?
Go to the next
I go to the second letter. Hold on, they're both A's. So then what do I do?
Go to the next one.
Third letter. I've got a C and an N. Well, C comes first.
Yeah.
So lack will come first, then landscape, then nomadic, then shield. These are our words for the week and next week. Okay, let me turn this off.